let var and const, and conditional rendering. And also we have learned different exports, like what is the difference between default and named exports and how you can import those exports. And we also learned lists and keys. No one understood lists and keys. No one mentioned here. We learned how to render a list by using map function, right? So, so today that knowledge will be helpful when we try to integrate API, right? So let me tell you why we are making API call and everything, just for 5 minutes. Then we will go into coding. Okay. Let's take one example. Like we have e-commerce site. Okay. We have e-commerce site. So this is e-commerce website. So we show some list of products, right? Like uh, like different list of products like shoes, clothes. Okay. Any other like electronic items. So these kind of list of products, if you wanted to show list of products, then you need some data from the backend, right? So if you place the data in the front end only, that will be a statical site. Okay. What is dynamic meaning? Like when we add, okay, we all know like there will be a front end, there will be server, and also a database, right? Database and server. We all know there will be a server and a database. So this database, so when we add an item or a product into any table, okay, when we add item, like let's say I have added, so this is my e-commerce store, and I add a new item, okay, new item like Nike shoe or something. So when I add it into the table, so that API will fetch that information, and the API responsibility is to get that information from the database and send a response to the front end. So based on this, what will happen? Just a minute. So, so what happens when we add an entry into the table? Like let's say we have one API, like get products or something. So front end will call this get products API, so that server will make a query to the database. Database will give the all the products, and that products are sent here. Nothing like, okay, software development is all about how you are transferring the information from one place to another place. Understood? How you are transferring the information. So let's say I have added an entry in the database. So the information, now the information is where? It is in the database, right? And server, what it will do? It is intermediate to transfer this information to the client. And if some like server adds it to the cart, so some information, okay, this person added an item into the cart. So we will send that item to the backend. And so everything is like we will transfer the information from one place to another place. This is nothing but software development, right? So like now this is very important, so that like every time you have the data in the database, and those we will query the database, and that information is sent to the client. And how you display, it's up to you. Okay. So we use React just for the sake of user interfaces. Okay. React will not give us any feasibility to make API calls and any other things. It is only focused on UI development. See, I told you like how we wanted to show the UI. It's up to it's only under the scope of React, and how you are making API calls, how you are changing from one page to another page. This is not React's uh, piece. Okay. So let's like there are some JSON placeholder, some fake APIs. Okay, API REST APIs. So we have like APIs here. Okay, so let me use this API today. API is nothing but it is like application interface, like program interface. So you communicate with other system. Okay, now so when I call this, I am communicating to this JSON placeholder server. Okay, so we need this URL so that all these users will be fetched. So in my application, I'll create a component. Okay, directly I will create one component. This is called users list dot asx. Okay, and I'll write a function component users list. Okay, it's copilot in copilot is giving me suggestions, but okay. So this is a function component users list, and we have to return some UI. Okay, here. So here now this is a users list. So this is the JSX, right? So here I will, so I did not export this component. So export default users list, and this can be imported in app. So app is the root component. So whenever we create a component to display that, so see if you create a component, it will not display. Okay, I'll run this server. Okay.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Sorry. Okay. Since how long? 8:20. Okay. I'm sorry. I was on mute. I was talking on mute. Okay. So, so try to, so when you design this JSX, right? When you design this, uh, you create a hard coded information like this. Okay. First, you create hard code information like this, and you map that to the UI, and how you wanted to style, you can style that. So don't make any API calls first. First, try to check the UI. Like yesterday, I told you, right? All this, whatever I have typed here, yesterday I told you, like you have a list of users array, and you map that array, and uh, and you will get each user, iterate to each user, okay, and display it in the list. So if like this is before making API call, you hard code the information. This is also static only, but just hard code how this structure is. Okay. Okay. So we are getting users here. Now, uh, so let me make an API call. Okay. So where you will make API call? Can someone answer? Actually, I am not listening. I was mute and no one is informing me. Why you guys are not talking in the class? What is stopping you all? It's okay if there is a noise from your side. Even sometimes from my side also there will be noise. I muted, I forgot to unmute, and since 1 minute no one is informing me who about to unmute. Yeah, tell me, someone from the team, tell me where what is a good place in the component to make API call. Where we will make API call. If you don't know, tell me don't know. If you know, then explain.
In the use effect,
Hmm. Use effect is one place, correct. Any other place to make API call? Can we make API call directly here? Can we make directly here? Here?
If you
I-
give there means it will the code will be big,
Code will be bigger.
very big.
Wait, no. Okay. One thing is use effect. Correct. See, mostly use effect. Like if so don't make API calls directly in the component. Okay. When so there is what is API call? So API call means um this Copilot, it's nonsense. Okay. Okay. So where is the best place to make API call? So API call means it's side effects. Okay. It is a side effect. Okay. So understand carefully. This is very important because there is something called so let me explain you. Okay. So you are developing an application, a React application, right? And whatever you do, okay, in the React, like this is an application, okay? So treat it as like an environment. Okay, like so you develop application. This is React application. Whatever the code that you write, for example, let's say you write use state. Okay, you write use state, or you write something else, anything like you use context API, or you use something else. Okay, all that like you use props also, right? You will also use props in React. You will use conditional rendering, list. Okay, conditional rendering. So all those are not side effects. Why? Because you're not going outside of the React, right? So what I mean is when you deal with external systems, okay, external systems, React is what is the significance of React? React is to create user interfaces, to build user interfaces. That's it. You write some CSS styles, right? You write some CSS styles in React. You write some JSX. Everything is comes under building a user interface. But if you are communicating with external systems, and if that external system affects the application, then that is called side effect. Okay. What is external system here? External API call. Okay. Side effect. That is called side effect. You have to be very careful when you handle, when you make a side effect, when you create a side effect. What is the disadvantages of side effects? You don't know. A lot of data will come in. Your application memory will become overhead, or you will have memory leaks in the application. Okay, memory leaks. Your application performance will be down. Okay, if you not handle these side effects, there will be lot of disadvantages. What is a side effect? Side effect is nothing but when you go outside of React. So here, what I will do, if I make any API call, right, it will deal with the external system like server or other APIs like Amazon API or Facebook API or any other APIs, third party APIs. Okay, when you deal with external systems and that system make some changes in your application. Okay, so let me quickly call this. Okay, this one. So in JavaScript, we have something called fetch. Okay, this is built-in function in JavaScript. Fetch API or fetch function. Just this is just a function. Okay, so this is just a function. So you can make API call with by using this. So let me write a use effect. Use effect is a hook. How many of you remembered use effect? This hook comes from React. How many of you remembered use effect? Can someone explain use effect? Last class I told you after you use state, I told you use effect. I already told you about the lifecycle methods of a component. So what argument it will take? Hello?
Use effect will have three stages: mount,
Mm,
update, and unmount.
correct. So use effect will have three stages and we will handle all those operations. So we give uh, an arrow function as an argument to this use effect hook. Okay, and this function, whatever the function that I provided to this uh, use effect hook, this function will get automatically triggered based on the lifecycle stage of that component. You need not to call this component. So if there is a second argument also, that is empty dependency array. So we'll come to this when updating, but right now you just if you need to provide an empty array as a second argument here. First argument will be an arrow function, anonymous function, and the second argument will be dependency array. We call this array as dependency array. I'll tell you, this is very useful when updating. Okay. So here, so this function, so when you pass this empty array, what happens is this anonymous function, whatever we passed in the first argument, okay, this will get called only once. When it is called, mounting time only. When component renders, then it will this function gets called. So here you make an API call. Okay. Let's use that fetch API. Let's use that fetch API and call. Okay, call the API. So you write like this. You write fetch. Okay, fetch function. You call the fetch function. So instead, what we will do, we'll write one more function in here. Okay. What we'll do is we write like this. We declare one function. Okay. Get users list. Okay. This is regular JavaScript function. Get users list. And you'd immediately call that get users list function here. You immediately call. You defined a function here and you are immediately calling that function. So inside this, let's make a fetch call. Fetch. What you will provide? Will provide a URL endpoint. Okay, with the endpoint. So this is backend API. So you write dot then. So dot then dot catch. Everything is related to asynchronous programming. I'll tell you that is very advanced concept. Now I will not tell you, but we will write like this dot then. Okay, just bear with me. Like you don't need not to understand the syntax, but let me tell you like teach you the concept here. Okay, so dot then means when we make API call and then you will get a response. Okay, so that response you convert that into JSON. Okay, like this. You convert that response to JSON, and then okay. So here we have list of users, but what I will do is I'll take one state here. Okay, here users comma set users is equal to use state, and here I'll import that use state from React, and I'll provide initial value as empty value. Okay, so I don't want this hard coded information. I wanted that users to be fetched from this API. Okay, so here then then you get a response. So you convert that response to JSON, and then what you will do is you set this users and pass that information here. Okay, so you'll get this information, right? So just like first what you will do, you will make an API call, then you will convert that response this thing. Okay, so actually what happens is when you make a fetch call, all this information will come as a string, so that you convert to JSON, and this will also return a promise. So you will not understand promise, but again you take that response and what you are doing here, so you are getting an array here, right? So here you pass that array to this users. You are setting using this setter function to change the state. By default, this users is empty array. But once you make API call, you will get the response, and that response you are passing that response to this uh, to this. You are adding it in the state, updating the state. What is the previous state? Empty. What will be the current state after making API call? With list of users, all these users. Here I have like 10 users. Okay. So if you want, you can also console here. Just console and see the response object here. Okay. So if you do like this, it is giving you the error. Okay, dot then. Okay, here let's like this. Okay. So you console. Don't try to over complicate. Like don't try to think this is very hard. The syntax, whatever you are seeing here, will be easy once you practice. But just you are getting the concept right. Like you are making API call, you are converting that into JSON, and once converted that information, you are adding it to the state in the state. Okay. So let's see this. What is the status of at this current point of time? So you're getting nothing. Okay. So cannot read map. Okay. Let's see whether the API call is going or not. See, we are making API call to the users. Okay. And you see there is a response. You got the response, right? So response you are getting directly. Yeah, there is no data here. Okay. So let's directly add a response. This complete thing is a response. Or else let's see what is the response here. You see, we are fetching the information. In my UI, there is no this data is not there. All these 10 users here in my code, there is no users here, right? How we are getting how we are showing the UI here? We are making API call here. When this component renders, we are making API call. Of that API call is changing the state, and this state we are using in the UI here below. That's it. Are you getting? Are you understanding the flow? How this is working? When this users list component renders here, okay, here, when this users list component renders, what happens? First, this will be run, okay, this one, and it will not find users. Why? Because API will take some time, right? It will take at least 1 or 2 seconds to fetch the information. So when first render, so we don't have the users, okay. So let me see like this. So let's refresh. You see, no error. So what is happening? So even we are getting a console log here. This console log is coming from 14th line. Here I have added this to see whether we are getting the information. So we are making a API call. You can see that API call in the network tab here. You see you are making a get API call to this API, and it gave us 200 OK. And if you see the response, it responded like this by sending us the information. Why it sent? Because this endpoint is asking for the users. But this is one place. And now I don't want to make API call by default. I want to make API call. Um, so I want to make an API call when I click a button. Okay. So let me add a button here. get list of users. So this is a button. So what I will do, I'll just use this again. Here I will write that function. Yeah, use this like this, and I'll just comment this everything use effect. So by default it will not mount. So when I click this button, so I commented out this effect, hook use effect. So now I declared this, but I'm not calling this, right? So here, when I click that button on click, I will call this get users list function. So you can also directly write the function and trigger that function from the UI when button click happens. So mostly when on change listeners, on click listeners, so you can make API call. Apart from that, you have to use a use effect to make API call. So here, when I click this, now you will get the users. What is happening when I click? When I click this function is getting executed. So it is making a fetch call dot then you are once you get the receive the response, and it is setting the state of these users. So previously, what happening here is, let me show you the state so that quickly you will understand. That is, oh, okay, let's open this. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, I'll show you the state of that application. So users list, how is the state? Empty, right? And we are not making any API calls in the network tab. There is no API call here, right? There is no API call. This is a different one. So if you see the component, list is not there, right? So when I click this, now you see here the state. The state is empty, and now the state is changed. You have some information here in the state. Everything is added to the state, and that state we are mapping here in the JSX. Understood? Okay. Everyone understood how we are making API call? Any confusion, let me know. Now itself we will clear. I wanted to listen from you. Are we able to understand what we are doing? I'll ask one by one. Um, can you once explain users list? What users list I have to explain? Which users list?
24th line.
24. 24th line. This one. This is a function. Same thing. What function I wrote here? That same function I written here. Uh, like we are defining a function and we are calling this function in the below.
Okay.
Just a function call. That's it. Inside this function, I am making a fetch API call. So here, this fetch API is making an API call to this endpoint, this URL. Once it receives the information, it is putting that information in the state. This state is mapped to the UI. That's it. And this fetch API call, everything will be same. Like like we'll discuss more about this fetch function and Axios tomorrow's class. But basic thing, you understood like how we are making API call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone else? Once try this logic, okay? Once try this logic, everyone, so that you will understand what you are doing. So, for example, if you want more information, like here I used only name, right? So let me use another one, email. So now I want this user emails also to be displayed in the UI. What I will do? So I'm already mapping the name. So now I will map their emails, okay? Like this, user dot email. So you same, you use everything like this. So when I save this and see the UI, when I click on get list of users, now you also see the emails. So any information you can map to the UI. And how you style this UI, it's up to you. You use CSS styles and you style this UI. Got it? Anyone? Questions, doubts? Okay. I wanted so currently I like we are fetching users, right? Placeholder. Okay, I will give you some time. Mm, yes. Mm, How many posts you are getting? Okay, you can refer to this document to understand the fetch call. Okay. If you make an API call to this, it will give you one single post. Okay. Try to do all this. Like try to practice this getting posts. So these are 100 posts it will return. We try to write this syntax. Okay. Everyone try this posts. Okay. Posts changing, adding the post, updating the post, deleting the post, everything will be there. Okay. So I'll wrap up this call. Okay, what happened, guys, today? Why everyone is silent? Anything special today?
No, I'm just listening.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. No issues. But if you have any doubts, let me know. Tomorrow again we will discuss on the API calls and different mounting, different stages like mounting stages, more in depth. But as of now, try to actually I'm not getting this. No WhatsApp here. Okay, understood. DP, you understood today how we are making API call by using fetch?
Yes, Ram. Firstly, we have to create function.
Mm,
Then we create another function. Use effect. In the use
mm,
effect, we have to uh, call the
mhm.
API.
Hmm. Uh,
Then we have to
Try to
map
try
to
to
all the
yes.
list.
Yeah, you set the state, and once you get the information, you set the state. You use the setter function of the state, and that state you map to the UI. Okay, this is try to see this, understand this example. See, if you're not getting response, right? What you're doing, if you don't get response, you are throwing error. If for sometimes the server will be down, so you will get response. So try to understand this code, what this code is performing, what this code is doing. Okay. So they also wrote one function, same function, but they used async await instead of catch and then. Okay? Then catch block. They used try catch blocks and async await. Okay, you see here async and await. This is also same asynchronous programming only. But if you write this code, you will interact with the external databases. So tomorrow in our application, like we have our own APIs. So we might need of calling our own APIs. Okay. So there is one more uh, tool called Axios. So how you will import this? Like just quickly tell you that you directly let me stop this server. npm install Axios. You just do like this. So you don't need to make fetch API call. So fetch, what is a issue? Like you need to convert that to JSON, right? But Axios don't want like Axios will convert it for you. So instead of doing this, instead of fetch, now what you will do? You'll import Axios from that Axios library. Import Axios. That Axios library is installed, right? So if you see in the package.json, you will get Axios. So this is another way of making API call. You use the third-party libraries. What is fetch? Fetch is a built-in function in the JavaScript. But Axios is a third-party library. So what you will do here, you use that Axios dot get method, and same thing. You pass the URL. Like we have this URL, right? Let me take that URL again. What we rendered last, users. So this URL, you take it again and axios.get, right? Dot then, you need not to convert that to JSON. You directly you get the response. Okay. Dot then you will get the response. Once you get the response, you set users with that response. That's it. This is all. So again, I have to run the server. So when I click that button, nothing is happening. What is wrong? Mm, okay, is API call is happening? Yes. So you're getting the data. So what is wrong? Okay, API call is making, but users is not a list is not mapping. Yes. Okay. If there are no users, we'll do like this. If you have users, you will show this UI. Okay. We will use conditional rendering here. Okay. So if you have users, then you map, for example, users is a array, right? So if you have users dot length, or if users is greater than 0, if you have users, then here, okay, I'll, I'll do this again. So if you have users, okay, you have users, or you can also write like this, users length. If you have users, Then you map that users dot map, and you map that users, and right again you have users. Okay, you have users. You do something here, like you map the users, use dot map, and return user dot name of this. And if you don't have users, then you show users not found or something like that. Okay. So by doing this, like first users not found, well, it's not found. We did something wrong. When I make an API call,
But I think that is in the inside array inside the nested loop.
mm, what is that? Here I'm
Hello.
not taking each user, right? User, yes. mm, Let's see now. No problem. Like this is also this will all work actually. But this set users. Let us see what this response is coming. When I click this, so you are getting data here. Okay, you are getting data. That's why it is not mapping. In the fetch call, you are not getting this data. You're directly getting that. But here you are getting so data. So that object, that array is pointed to this uh, data. So that's why you write like this response data. So now you will get no issues. When I click, you will get. So I forgot to add key here. So here in the list, you write key is equal to user dot id. Yes. This is simple component. Okay. Try to understand this code. Okay. If you have users, then you will map the users. If you don't have the users, then you will show users not found. This is simple. Like you are writing a conditional rendering logic here. So by default, when the page loads, no users. When I click this, now you users. Now you got users. Understood, everyone? If you want, I'll share this code. Try to create a component in and practice. Okay, try to understand. I'll share this code to you all. Mm, mm, mm. Mm. Guys, okay, let's. I'm dropping here. Okay, we can wrap up this call today. Tomorrow we'll be learning more things. Okay. If you have any doubts in making API calls and any other things, please ping me personally. Any questions before we dropping off?
Ram, by using
Yes, Nick.
ArcGIS, what is the
Yeah.
advantage?
Um, yeah, like you see here, like more asynchronous. Like, see, for fetch calls, you have to, so you will get more details in the Axios call related to that response. Okay. Like, if you see here, the same thing, like here, when this make API call is made, let it complete. So if you see this, uh, sorry, this response object, so you will get more information like the status code, right? Headers and everything. You will get lot of information, and also Axios is also a wrapper, I think, around the fetch. Uh, but mostly it is for easy of writing code. Like see, Axios advantages you will see. Like it is promise based. Okay, it is so it's automatic JSON data transformation. Okay, and you can add interceptors. So you don't know this concept. We also use interceptors in front end side. Interceptors means before you make a API call, it will attach like it will intercept that API call. So it's you can add better error handling. So there are a lot of benefits. Okay, you can add timeout for the API call if API call is not responding. So some additional like cancellations. You can cancel API call. You can retry API call. So all this you can use. You can have by using Axios. Okay.
Okay, Ram.
Mm. Mm. Okay, then thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you.